question videos later. So let me know. I hope this inspires you to do a 2026 bingo card. If you did one for 2025, let me know what goals you reached in 2025. But spoiler is that I did accomplish all of them. I'm definitely like a perfectionist, and I also made goals that I knew I could accomplish. So yeah, but I'm just gonna be doing a story time of all of the goals. So these are the 25 goals that I made. Some of them are like school related, fitness related, crafty related, social, all kinds of things. So I will start with my free space. My free space was to turn 25, which I was pretty confident was gonna happen. So that was the first one that I accomplished, actually, because my birthday is January 21st. So that was my first one. But now we'll start up here, I guess. So my goal was to go on a date in 2025. I am single, or was. We'll get there. I wanted to go on some dates, use the dating apps. So the first part of the year I was living at home, which is where I am now. And I didn't really want to date, like do much dating, first of all, because there's no one to date in this town. But also I knew that I was moving to a new city, so I didn't want to like start anything. But I moved at the beginning of August, and I went on a date August 15th, so I checked that one off. It was a guy from Hinge. We went on 2 dates. It was decent, and that was it. Yeah, so just went on 2 dates with that guy, but he did help me cross off that bucket list item for the year. Next one was to read a book for fun. I have been wanting to get into reading for a long time. I am just not a big reader. I don't read for fun. But I feel like so many of my friends read, and I feel like that's a big thing these days, is all of the like fantasy books and everything. So I really wanted to get into it. It's just, for me, I don't know if anyone feels similarly, like sitting there with a book, I'm a multitasker. I have a short attention span. I can't just sit there and look at a book and that's the only thing I'm doing. Like, I'm always thinking about all the better things I can be doing. But my friend was like, why don't you try audiobooks? And audiobooks changed my life. So I started listening to audiobooks, and I will listen to them while I like cook, clean, work out is the big one. Like, I'll just be on a run and I'll be listening to my audiobook. So I have chugged through some books. I think I read 5 books for fun this year, and my first one was August 28th, after I moved, so later in the year, and I read 5. So I'm working on the ACOTAR series. I don't think it's really my speed too much, but my friends are like, that's just what you have to read. So I read the A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and I'm almost done with Frost and Starlight. And then I also read Fourth Wing. So yeah, after I finish the ACOTAR series, I'll probably go back and continue with the Fourth Wing series. The way it works, like, I use the app called Libby, where you connect your library card to it, and you have to wait until the books are available. So it was just the way it worked out that, like, I read Fourth Wing, and then ACOTAR was available before Iron Flame, or whatever the second one is. So I went to that series. But yeah. So I read a bunch of books for fun this year. My next one was to take a dance class. a studio that was doing free dance classes for their opening weekend. And so I went to a couple of those. I took a ballet class and one that was kind of like jazzy, and it was really fun. I met a couple friends, like it was a good time. So that was on November 1st that I went to a dance class. I was slightly not hungover, but tired from Halloween, so, because I was out late. My next one was to do a 5-minute plank. Hold a plank for 5 minutes. This is something that I did at some point in like 2023 or 4. I don't know. And I tried to do a plank in early 2025 and couldn't even hold it for 2 minutes. So you lose it really, really quickly if you don't practice. So I made the goal to do a 5-minute plank again in 2025. And I worked on that. I worked so hard. I was doing planks every day, trying to hold it for longer and longer and longer. And finally, on, I guess, July 24th, I held my plank for 5 minutes, and I was so proud. Can I still do it? No. But I can say that I did it once. And then I kind of just fell off on planking. But still proud of myself that I did it. My 5th one was to bake something new. I am a big baker, love baking, and I wanted to try a new recipe because typically I always make kind of the same things, and so I did this on March 22nd, which is my brother's birthday, and that is because I made him a cookie dough cheesecake. It was incredible. This cookie dough cheesecake was so good. My brother and I have a thing where every year I make him a surprise cheesecake flavor for his birthday. So he loves cheesecake, it's his favorite dessert, and I make him a new surprise cheesecake every year, and this year's was cookie dough, and it was so good. Everybody loved it. This year I also made homemade cinnamon rolls for the first time. Those were really good. I'm trying to think if I baked anything else that was new. I don't know if I baked anything new. It was all stuff that I had baked before. Yeah, I don't know, but at least those 2 things I baked. Next one was to get all A's. You might know I'm in grad school and made the goal to get all A's, and on December 5th, I found out that I did get all A's for all 3 semesters I had in 2025. I had like spring and then summer and then fall. Got all A's, so that's great. I think that was the last one that I accomplished, and so that's why we're making this video now. My next one that I made at the beginning of 2025 was to hit 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, and even then it felt like that might be kind of far away. I think I started 2025 with like 40,000, maybe 41, so hitting 50 felt like it might not happen. I did that everyone's supposed to see, or, you know, new movies that came out, movies people recommended to me. And I hit it on April 16th. I watched 10 movies and I was like, well, let's keep going. Like, this inspired me to keep watching movies. And so I did. And I watched more and more and more. You guys, I watched 100 new movies in 2025. 100 new movies. Very proud of myself for that. And I think I'm gonna make a video that'll be posted after this, maybe next week, going through the 100 movies that I watched and my ratings for them. So if you want to see that, let me know. But I did write down the 10 that I'm counting. I don't actually know if these were the first 10. They might have been, but I watched Baby Driver, Good Will Hunting, Shawshank Redemption, The Truman Show, Wicked, Interstellar, Die Hard, Jurassic Park, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and Crazy Rich Asians. I think that's a pretty good list. A mix of like classics, newer movies. So those are the ones that I counted, but I did watch 100, and I'll make a video about that. Next goal was to go to a concert. I have also never been to a concert. Crazy. I am not a big fan of large crowds. I've just never, I don't know, like I would much rather listen to music sitting in my house in my pajamas crocheting, or watch a movie sitting on my couch in my pajamas while crocheting, than like go to a movie theater or go to a concert. But I did make it a goal to go to a concert, especially because where I live has a cool concert venue, and one of my favorite bands was coming to that venue, and so we went on October the 8th. October 8th. Unfortunately, that day is also the day that I scratched up my car pretty badly. So where like the apartment complex where I live, it has a parking garage, and technically there are a lot of spots in this parking garage, but not many of them are super usable. So it's a garage that's like holding up the building, like the building is lofted, I guess, and it has these gigantic concrete pillars throughout the whole garage. And so there's all these sections where like there's technically 3 spots in between the concrete pillars, but like the middle one is a good spot, but then the ones on either side are so small, and they're like kind of cut off by the pillar being in the way. So people mostly just take the middle spots, like everyone is parked in a middle spot. Well, the concert night, I obviously didn't get home till like 11 p.m. or something, and I was driving. So I get back to my apartment, and every middle spot is taken, even most of the like second spots. Like there were hardly any spots available. So the only one I could take was in between a car and a pillar, and the spot was like exactly the size of my car. So I'm thinking, how do I do this? And in trying to avoid the car that was next to me, I scratched up the side of my car on the concrete pillar. So like I was turning in and I like hit the pillar going in. So great concert, not great night for me. But it's okay, I really don't care. It's an old car, so I don't really care. My next goal was to counsel a real patient. You may know that I am in genetic counseling school. If days. So we have to do 5 different rotations throughout, and during those you counsel real patients, like you see patients, you do the counseling for them. So on April 30th, I counseled my first real patient. It was terrifying, but I did it. It was for my cancer rotation that I did that, because I did cancer first, and then I did a neurology rotation, and then finished out this year with it was more like a lab industry rotation, so I wasn't seeing patients, but throughout the rotations I've done, I have counseled 75 patients. 75 real patients, which is awesome. Yeah, so, and I will probably get 50-ish more in 2026 before I graduate. Up next was to try a new craft, and I did this on February 18th, so one of my first goals that I hit. And the craft I tried was doing pottery. It was so fun. My mom, she takes pottery classes at a local university, and they let you just like go in whenever you want, like on weekends, nighttime, and do pottery. And so she brought me with her one weekend and was like, I don't think my teacher would care if you just sat there and like hand built some pottery. And so I went with her a bunch of times. I ended up making a bowl. I might have made a second bowl. I don't know. But I've never done pottery before, but that was so fun to hand build a bowl and then like glaze it. Was really cool. So I did that with my mom, and then this year I also got into diamond painting. If you haven't done diamond painting or heard of diamond painting, so fun, you guys. It is so fun. So, highly recommend doing diamond painting. It's like so relaxing, and you get some really cool stuff out of it. So that was cool. I think those are the only 2 crafts I tried. Yeah. Next goal was to buy a car, and I did so on June 25th. I did just say I have a really old car. That's because the car I bought was from my mother. It's a 2013 that she had for 12 years, and she wanted to get a new car, and I was like, you know what, I'm a grad student, I don't want to get a fancy new car. I will buy your car for $2,000. So I did on June 25th, and yes, that is the car that I scratched up. So that's fine. Next was to go on a road trip. Love a good road trip, and I did that on October 10th. Yeah, it was fun. I have a friend where I live, and she really wanted to go to this festival, like fall festival thing, that was maybe 3.5 hours away from us. And there's also a cool apple orchard there, so we made a weekend of it. We went and went to the apple orchard, went to the festival, got some good food, just enjoyed a couple nights in a hotel, and it was really fun. It was a good road trip. Next was to join a running club. I got into running about a year ago now. I still suck. I'm still terrible at running, but I really wanted to get better, and I wanted to join a run club in my new city, especially just to try to meet people, meet friends, and stuff like that. And so I did. I joined actually my school's running club on August 27th. That's a funny story, because August 27th is also the day that I almost ended up in the hospital. Yay. I've told face got really numb and tingly, and I was telling the girl next to me, like, my face is numb, my lips are numb, and she was like, that's weird. So I finished out the run. We were like at a crosswalk right across from the wellness center where we started, so we were like standing there, and then we were just gonna run right over to the wellness center. And while I'm standing there, my vision started to go kind of hazy, like started seeing spots. I was dizzy, I was still numb, like not great. And I like walked across the street to the wellness center, and people were like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "No." They take me inside, I sit down, I have some water, I'm like, "Okay, I'm feeling alright," and they're like, "Let's go." I get up and walk to the door. My vision goes completely black. 100% black. I see nothing. And so I'm standing there with my hand on the door to the wellness center, like, just waiting to wake up in the hospital. I was like, I'm gonna pass out. I can't see anything. I can't take a step forward or backward. And luckily, the president of the running club turned around and was like, "Are you okay?" And he led me over to a chair, sat there with me, got me like an orange, a popsicle, and so I was feeling like my vision was starting to come back, but then I broke out in hives on my entire body. In hindsight, should have gone to the hospital, but I didn't. I called my roommate, and she came and got me and walked me home. But she still says, she's like, "You looked horrible. Like, you were pale, you were covered in hives, your eyes were glazed over." Eventually I got better. I was fine, but that was scary. I think it was exercise-induced anaphylaxis, which is apparently a thing. So every run club meeting after that, I've just run at my own pace. Going along with that was to run a 10K, and I did that on April 2nd. Can't say that I've done that since, but I did do it on April 2nd. It wasn't like a structured 10K, it was just around my neighborhood for fun. I am going to be running a 10K in a few months though, like an actual race, so that should be really fun. Next goal was to start gymnastics. I used to be a gymnast as a kid, which maybe I've talked about a little bit before. And I had seen that the city I was moving to had a place that did adult gymnastics, where you could go and just do like open gym gymnastics. So I was so excited about that, to do adult gymnastics and kind of get back into it in a way that was fun and not scary. So I started that on September 14th, and I go most Sundays to gymnastics, and it's so fun. I've met some people. It's a great time. Next was to move to a new city, which I have alluded to that I did. I did it on August 8th, moved to my new city, my new apartment, and that was kind of what kicked off a lot of these goals, like taking a dance class, starting gymnastics, joining a running club, going on a date. Like, all of those were kind of new city things to do. Yeah, it's been great so far. Over 4 months. Fantastic. Next was to kiss a boy, which I did on September 12th. Kissed a boy. My dad was looking at this last night, and he saw go on a date and kiss a boy, and he was like, "What I learned from this is that you didn't kiss a boy on the first date, because the dates are different." And I was like, well, you are correct that I didn't kiss this guy, this was a first date. So I went on 2 dates with this guy, and then went on a date with this guy, and we did kiss. So that was our first date. Yeah. So I was like, sorry, Dad, I did kiss him on the first date. I went on 3 dates with him, and then meh. Yeah. But I put go on a date and kiss a boy because those are things that I could, like, somewhat control. I was like, I can do that. I can go on Hinge. I can go on a date. I wanted to put get a boyfriend, but thought that that was too ambitious because I can't control that. Like, I'm not gonna settle for someone. I can't just, like, go out and buy a boyfriend. It has to be the right person. So I didn't put that on here, but I could have, because I do have a boyfriend now. So, hard launch. But yeah, so I do have a boyfriend now. It is not either of the boys that I checked these off with, but a whole separate boy. So, yeah, maybe I'll meet him someday. Last row. Next one was to host a dinner party, which I did on August 23rd. We just did that as a, like, housewarming party for our new apartment. So we had a bunch of people over, and we had a bunch of food, and it was really fun. So, little housewarming party. Yeah, it was good. I've definitely hosted some dinners since then, but that was the first one that I did in my new apartment. Next up was to visit a foreign country, which I did on June 12th. You can go back and look at my story time telling you about my trip to Europe, if you want to know more about that. But yeah, we went to Europe. So June 10th, I guess, was the day that we landed in Switzerland, and then we flew to Greece, spent a few days in Athens, and then got on a cruise of, like, Greek islands and Turkey. So this year I went to Switzerland, Greece, and Turkey, 3 foreign countries, and it was great. Next up was to swim in the ocean, which I did on June 19th, so I was still on the trip, and this was in Mykonos that I swam in the ocean. We went to a beach in Mykonos. It was a nude beach. We didn't know that ahead of time, but I did get in the ocean. Well, I guess it was the Mediterranean Sea, but that counts as a part of the Atlantic, doesn't it? I don't know. Even if it doesn't, I still went to the beach several times this year, and I swam in the ocean. Definitely in the Atlantic Ocean, so I still did it, but that June 19th was in Mykonos. Next up was to finish simulated patients. In the spring semester this year, before starting clinical rotations, we had to do simulated patients, which is where you have a patient that is just an actor, and you have to do a whole genetic counseling session with them, while your teacher and another student are watching. Horrible. That was terrible. So doing this at the beginning of January, when I had done one case, I was like, biggest goal of the year is to be done with simulated patients. And I finished on April 10th, before starting my real patients. But yeah, that was not fun. I did not enjoy simulated patients. Counseling real patients is so much easier, so much more fun. Yeah. And my last goal for 2025 was to try 10 new restaurants, which I completed on June 14th. I have tried so many more restaurants this year, being in my new city, is any ones that are like where I live. So the 10 I counted are just from vacations or like big chain restaurants. Because if I told you 10 new ones, like they're all in the same city. But the ones I'm counting, I went to a place called Thai Cuisine and Ramen King in Houston, Texas, where my friend lives. I went to visit her. BJ's Brew House I went to in Phoenix, but also, like, they also had one where I live, and we went there for my friend's birthday. It's actually really good. Go there, try a Pizookie if you have one near you. Popeyes. I had never been to a Popeyes before. Popeyes is like a very widespread fast food chain. I don't know if it's like in other countries or like across the whole US, but I went to one in Texas. So, Whataburger, also in Texas. That's a classic Texas chain. Olive and Ivy was a restaurant in Phoenix, as was Hideaway House, both really good. And then Erato, hopefully I'm saying that right, and Tylixto were in Athens. Both great suggestions if you want to go there. Tylixto was like a Euro stand place that I had seen on TikTok. So good. And then Erato was like some random restaurant. And we just got really good like chicken skewers and pita and stuff. Pudding Shop was in Istanbul, I think. Yeah, Pudding Shop. That was what our tour guide recommended to us. And then Maranto was, I think, in Mykonos, and that one was great too. So we had some really good food in Europe this year. But yeah, that is my 2025 bingo card. I reached all 25 goals, which I am very, very proud of. And yeah, I hope maybe this inspired you to do your own like 2026 bingo card. I highly recommend it because it was so much fun to like work my way through them. Totally recommend it to you guys. But yeah, I hope this was a good just story time video about my year. Told you everything about everything I've done this year. Yeah, so I hope that you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what goals you hit this year, and maybe what goals you are wanting to hit next year. Let me know. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Sleep well, everybody,